The United Nations. The Industrial Revolution began in England in 17th century and spread to many European countries. Each country looked at the underdeveloped countries of Africa and Asia to exploit them for resources. The fight for supremacy amongst the European countries led to the First World War in 1914. This lasted for 4 years and led to mass destruction of manpower and resources. Around 16 million people lost their lives. At the end of the war, an organization called the League of Nations was formed in 1919 to bring back peace among countries. However, it failed to achieve its purpose, and then the Second World War began in September 1939. World War II lasted for 6 years. Around 60 million people lost their lives. It ended in 1945, after USA dropped atomic bombs over 2 Japanese cities, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The loss of life and the destruction of cities in World War II was much higher than in World War I. The formation of the United Nations. After the end of World War II, an organization called United Nations Organization, UNO or UN, was formed to bring peace. Members of 50 countries including China, France, UK, USA and USSR met to discuss plans for the formation of an organization. They decided a set of guidelines called the Charter of the United Nations on 25th of June 1945. As of today, 193 countries around the world are members of the UN. The UN was formally established on 24th of October, 1945. So every year, this day is celebrated as the UN Day. The headquarters of the United Nations is in New York, USA. The UN has received Nobel Prize for helping maintain world peace. Objectives of the UN. According to the Charter of the UN, its aims are to maintain international peace and security, to promote friendly relations among nations, to encourage respect for human rights and the freedom for all, to achieve international cooperation in solving economic, cultural and social problems, to help fight diseases and preserve the environment. Principles of the United Nations. All member states have sovereign equality. All member states must obey the Charter. Countries must try to settle their differences by peaceful means. Countries must avoid using force or threatening to use force. The UN may not interfere in the domestic affairs of any country. Countries should try to assist the United Nations. Structure of the UN. The UN has 6 different bodies that have different functions. They are 1. The General Assembly. 2. The Security Council. 3. The Secretariat. 4. The Economic and Social Council. 5. The International Court of Justice. 6. The Trusteeship Council. The General Assembly. The General Assembly is the main body of the UN. It is made up of all 193 member countries. The General Assembly elects the members of all the other UN bodies. Members meet once a year in November, and decisions are taken through voting. Each member country has 1 vote and member states serve 2-year terms, with 5 replaced every year. Its headquarters are in New York, USA. The Security Council. The Security Council is the most powerful body of the UN. It is responsible for international peace and security and settles disputes among nations. It has 15 members, 5 of which are permanent and the non-permanent members are elected for a period of 2 years. The United Kingdom, China, France, Russia and United States are the permanent members. The permanent members have veto power. This means that if a single member disagrees with the decisions, the decision cannot be made effective. The Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC. This body coordinates the economic and social work of the UN. There are 54 member countries that are elected by the General Assembly for a 3-year term. It looks after international issues like medicine, education, economics and social needs. It works for issues such as human rights, equality of women and regulation of trade. The International Court of Justice. This body settles legal disputes that arise amongst nations and gives advice in international law. It is also known as the World Court. The International Justice is the main judicial branch of the UN. It is located at Hague in Netherlands. The court consists of 15 judges elected by the General Assembly and the Security Council for a term of 9 years. Trusteeship Council. It was established to look after 11 countries which were not independent when UN was founded. Now, all of them are independent. This council is not functional anymore. The Secretariat. The day-to-day activities of the UN are carried out by the Secretariat. This body is headed by the Secretary-General of the UN, who is chosen for 5 years by the General Assembly. The present Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, Portugal, assumed the post on the 1st of January 2017. UN Special Agencies. The UN also has special agencies that employ experts in various fields from different countries. These experts work on common world problems. The agencies of the UN are UNICEF, United Nations Children's Fund. It is responsible for the welfare and rights of children all over the world. It provides food, health and education for the poor children. UNESCO. The United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization was established in 1946 to promote international collaboration in education, science and culture. It also played a great part in educating people to protect the natural environment and preserving cultural heritage. It also works for cultural exchange of students and teachers internationally. WHO. World Health Organization tries to improve the health of people around the world. WHO was established in 1948. It provides help and training for health workers to fight against diseases. It promotes research in health and medicine. FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, works towards increasing food production throughout the world. Its main aim is to defeat hunger. Its Latin motto Fiat Panis means let there be bread, when translated into English. ILO, International Labour Organization. The aim of the ILO is to improve the opportunities, working conditions and living standards of the working class. Achievements of the UN. The UN and its agencies are active in almost every country. They have been able to fulfill their aims in many ways. The United Nations has been playing an active role in maintaining world peace. It has been able to solve disputes among nations peacefully, thus preventing outbreak of more major wars. It strongly opposed apartheid or racial discrimination in South Africa. It has managed to eradicate smallpox through vaccinations and proper monitoring. It has also helped to wipe out polio from the Western Hemisphere. It has also prevented many nations from the use of nuclear weapons. It has also been successful in eradicating poverty, diseases and illiteracy in many underdeveloped countries. It has organized a meet on environment in Brazil, known as the Earth Summit. All nations committed to reduce pollution in order to prevent global warming. India's contribution to the United Nations. India joined the UN on 30th of October 1945. India is considered to be one of the founder members of the UN. Some of the main achievements and efforts of India are as follows. Indian armed forces have been used as peacekeeping forces in the Middle East, Cyprus and the Democratic Republic of Congo and Sudan. India actively opposed the policy of considering blacks as inferior to whites in South Africa. Finally, due to the pressure of the United Nations and countries like India, apartheid was abolished in South